money for earned income.
So if you want to be financially...
It's the highest tax income there is. When you put money in the bank as a saver, once again, that interest is taxed at the earned income rate. And that's what the rich do not tell the poor and the middle class, simply because, you know, the golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules. And the rich have set the rules up so that they have all the tax advantages, and the people that go to school and are programmed to become employees or professional people like doctors pay the lion's share of their income in taxes.
So what you're saying then, if you're living off of earned income, that means you have to always go to work, either in your own business or into someone else's business, to receive a paycheck to pay your bills. And if you have passive income, then that money is coming in from a rental income, investment income, royalties from books or music that you may have done, and that money comes in even if you're vacationing in Hawaii. So the true goal then, Robert, it's not necessarily to become a millionaire. The big financial goal then is to have enough passive income, pay for your monthly expenses, and then you're really free.
That's correct. That's the ideal scene. When my wife and I retired 10 years ago, all we had was $10,000 a month coming in from our real estate investments, and our expenses monthly were $3,000. That left us a net of $7,000. But the other thing, again, I'll say, is the taxes were almost nil on $10,000. Whereas if I was working for a company at $10,000 a month, 50% or $5,000 would go to taxes.
So the money you earn from passive sources goes a lot further. We interviewed Sharon Lecter, your business partner and co-author, on Monday, and she had some excellent ideas on how to create passive income sources for adults and also for children. So people have missed her live interview, but they can purchase the recording at homeschool.com/pre-order. So, Robert, then people have so many worries and fears around money. One of my favorite quotes of yours is, never say, I can't. Instead, ask, how can I?
Right. One of the things my rich dad taught me when I was a little kid was that he said, poor people say, I can't afford it, more than rich people. And the reason that's such a horrible thing to say is that from my Sunday school days, I'm not that religious, but I do remember Sunday school, and they always said the word becomes flesh. And what my rich dad said to me, if you say you can't afford it, you have the mindset of a poor person. And that's why he forbade his son and me from ever saying I can't afford it. He says, the moment you say that, you're basically a lazy individual who has stopped thinking. So it's very easy to say I can't afford it or I don't have the time. You know, basically I can't. And that's what makes you poor or incompetent. If you're going to be successful, say, how can I afford it or how can I do it? And the moment you say that, you engage your brain, which is your greatest asset of all, and your brain then has to go to work and think. If you say I can't afford it or I can't do it, your brain just goes to sleep, and then you don't learn anything more. And that's, I think, it's the basis of education and wealth creation and health creation is basically your attitude. How you use your mind to either create wealth and health or use your mind to create poverty and, bad health. So the mind is the most powerful tool there is, and it's very important that, parents teach their children how to use their mind. For example, my poor dad, he was a PhD, the head of education for the state of Hawaii, but he constantly said, I can't afford it. You think money grows on tea trees? I'm only a school teacher, I don't make much money. And it was those words, the words become flesh, that caused him to be poor.
It closes the door then.
Some of the most valuable basic lessons my rich dad taught me.
You and I first met years ago when you had just written, if you want to be rich and happy, don't go to school. Do you really believe that?
Hey?
Could you hear me, Robert?
Do I really believe that?
Yes. In other words, you wrote the book. One of your first books was, if you want to be rich and happy, don't go to school.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if I had a child, I wouldn't send them to school. I'd homeschool them. And the reason for that is, I'm coming out with a new book sometime in December or January. It's called Teach and Grow Rich. And in there, I do one chapter on why, guys like John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie basically hijacked education between 1900 and 1920. And what they did was that they wanted to make sure that they trained employees to work hard for them. So the purpose of the school system, in all these school systems we know now, was not to train people to be happy, self-fulfilled artists or, free expression people. The purpose of education was very simply one thing: to create employees to work for guys like John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie. And in my book is a quote by not only R. Buckminster Fuller, one of the greatest minds of our time, who said the same thing. My poor dad, a school teacher, said the same thing. But also John Taylor Gatto, New York State Teacher of the Year, says the same thing, that the school system back in the 1900s was hijacked outside of public scrutiny, and nobody told the public what they were doing with your kids' minds.
That book is coming, Teach and Grow Rich, will be coming out this fall?
In December or January.
Robert, your voice is so soft, there's a bit of a delay. Would you mind picking up the handset? Okay. And then when we have a question for Kim, I'll warn you so you can hand the handset to her.
Okay, how's that?
Oh, that's better. So if you would, just kind of scream, and we have so many hundreds of people on the line, right. Just kind of scream into the mouthpiece. You mentioned that you have Teach and Grow Rich coming out this fall, but I understand you have another new book coming out next month. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the new book is called Before You Quit Your Job, and it's the first book that explains how you prepare yourself to quit your job so you can become an entrepreneur. And in there's 10 real-life lessons that I learned along the way, in starting my first businesses. And I started the nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business, and then I worked for the rock bands Duran Duran and Iron Maiden, Van Halen, Judas Priest. And then, now Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So the reason Rich Dad, Poor Dad is successful is because I'm not a writer. I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur.
I love your cash flow games, Cash Flow Kids, Cash Flow 101, and so do my children. What other products and books do you have that can help us to take charge of our finances?
Well, part of Teach and Grow Rich, I'm going to create a program for people to teach other people using my cash flow games for cash flow clubs of how to teach other people about the financial management, how to convert earned income into portfolio and passive income, how to find great investments, but most importantly, to not get sucked in by these financial planners who are selling mutual funds. In my experience, the 401k, as I said, you're putting money in and you're being taxed at the earned income level. That doesn't make sense to me as an investor. They're also the most riskiest of all investments. And I know that upsets a lot of people, but just ask your banker this, if mutual funds were so safe, why doesn't your banker lend you millions of dollars to buy mutual funds? And the reason is because the banker thinks they're too risky. Or ask your insurance agent if your insurance agent would insure your 401k against catastrophic loss. And again, the answer is no, because they're too risky. Yet because so many people have a very limited financial education, they listen to a financial planner who tells them to work hard, save money, get out of debt, invest for the long term in mutual funds, and diversify. When you read Teach and Grow Rich, you'll find out why those words, work hard, save money, get out of debt, invest for the long term, and diversify, is the worst financial advice you can be given. So that's where I'm going with my little company, is really start to teach people what my rich dad taught me.
Well, that's excellent, Robert. You're making such a difference in the world, and Kim and Sharon as well. Robert, I want to try to open up the call. We have so many people on there, but I know that they would really enjoy asking you their own questions and connecting with you personally. This is such a nice opportunity. But before we do you have any other final words of advice for us?
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are homeschooling. I really commend you. I think when you read what John Taylor Gatto said about what school was doing to kids' brains, I think you'll be grateful yourself. It's a very courageous move, what you're doing. And, you're going above and beyond the call of duty. Because I don't have any children. My wife has one, me, to take care of. So I really do commend you, because it's a very important role and a very responsible role you've taken on. Because, like I said, back in the 1900s and 1920s, the educational system was hijacked by the rich. And the purpose was to take your child's minds and train them into E's and S's to work for the B's and I's, the rich. That's what they train them to do. And then have them invest in shaky investments like a 401k and mutual funds. as well as save money. And the other thing, too, is what you'll find out in my